Hello, this is Matthew of Luminous Beings Books, here with another edition of Shadow Font for you. This is Shadow Font 7, and it's about Solo, the Star Wars story. Man, what a name. What a name. Anyway, so we went to the drive-in and watched the latest Star Wars movie, as we are wont to, and I have some thoughts about it that I want to share with you. By the way, I'm recording on the road, so please bear with the noise. Anyway, here I go. The first thing I want to talk about is what people got wrong. I'm following my format, so here we go. Should go better than other episodes. But what people got wrong is this. There's a box office backlash because the real Star Wars fans can't stand Kathleen Kennedy, who is the president of Lucasfilm, by the way, appointed by George Lucas before he sold the company to Disney, and her agenda, and they are making everybody else woke to the truth. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I'm not going to get into it too much because I don't want to fight anybody. Well, I mean, that's not true. Come at me, bro, and I'll fight you. But I don't want to attack anybody is what I really mean. All I want to say is, I think there are serious... I don't care how movies do at the box office. If I like them, that's all I care about. My wife and I were talking the other day about something I didn't like. Oh, I won't disclose what it is. But there's a particular movie I don't like that we know several people who... Well, that's not true. Anyway, I know it's a popular movie, and I heard critical acclaim for it. I heard some critics critiquing it, and I agreed with those critiques almost 100%. Anyway, I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, yeah, this movie, it's like, is my perception of this movie what your perception is of Tremors? For those of you who do not know, go ahead and look up Tremors. It's a movie from the 90s, and there's been several of them, and I've seen them and liked them all, and my wife doesn't understand how I can possibly enjoy them, which is kind of how I feel about other movies. So anyway, just kind of funny. But anyway, even some of the Tremors have been direct to video and direct to Netflix, or like on the Sci-Fi Channel, I think is where they debuted, and I still enjoyed them. I haven't watched Sharknado, and I don't think I will, and that's a Sci-Fi Channel direct movie, but that doesn't interest me. But then again, Sci-Fi Channel made some good stuff. I believe the Jim Henson Spaceman show was on there, and it was really good. Farscape, I heard that was an excellent show. I saw a little bit of it when I was younger. It didn't really register too much with me, but apparently some people really liked it, and that was from there. Anyway, so my point is, the popularity of something, how well it does, how much money it makes, has nothing to do with how good it is. I don't care if Solo did really badly. I think it did, and I'll tell you why I think it did really badly. I think it was probably bad timing. Infinity War just came out not long ago, like a week or two, maybe at the most, and then Deadpool 2 came out, and Deadpool has violence and gore and cussing. Infinity War had allegedly a bunch of superheroes dying in it, and it was really crazy, and it's a big deal, and there's been 19 movies running up to this. I just think it was a bad time for them to release Solo. Whatever. I think December is better anyway. I was so excited when The Force Awakens came out in December, because in December there's Christmas, and I get time off for that, and we don't really do anything on Christmas, so it's like, hey, Christmas is a perfect time to go to the theater. Even if they started releasing Star Wars movies on Christmas, I would love that, because we can go. It's a completely free day. Right now we've been going to the drive-in late at night to watch movies, and winter, the movies were starting at like 7, and in the summer now they're starting at like 8. So that's kind of tough to swing, especially because kids start falling to pieces after a certain time, and being tired and grumpy and whatever. Anyway, so I just think it was really bad timing. If it's a box office bomb, I don't know. We'll see if it has long-standing success, I guess, but I really don't care. Also, putting it out at the end of May, I think May 25th was the official debut, or the wide release. That's only 6 months after Last Jedi. Last Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, I'm pretty sure. And but I can see people's enthusiasm cooling for going to see this, especially when there's other things. I just saw one of those Star Wars movies, maybe from casual moviegoers. I don't know. I'm going to see them all. unless they start stinking really badly, then I'll probably stop. But I still enjoy them, so I still watch them. Anyway, so there's that. And then another thing that people got wrong, or are getting wrong even as we speak, is that SJW Disney has turned Han Solo into Han Solo. I keep seeing this Solo thing on YouTube, and, you know, what happened to Han, or what did Disney do? Han was a man's man, whatever that means. Anyway, whatever. I struggle with the concept of being a man, and that means that you're a uncouth jerk, brigand, that you're selfish, and anyway, the word man has, I think, been co-opted by certain goofy guys in their 20s and maybe younger to mean something other than what it should really mean. And anyway, you can also fight me about that if you want to. But anyway, like, Han was a man's man as far as being after women and being brave and being willing to fight and being bold and adventurous or whatever. Beckett was also, and the guy was an outlaw indebted to a gang. He was with a woman romantically who was like 15 or 20 years his junior, which that's supposed to excite people, I guess, or it's like a positive for men, whatever. You know, Charlie Chaplin had kids when he was 70. Lando was very smooth and suave and charming, and he seemed like a ladies' man as well. Drayden Voss was kind of all over Kira, and he wielded power and control, and he was like killing people, and I don't know, he was like a macho mafia guy, and people are supposed to like that. Heck, even L3 made an allusion to something most allegedly hot-blooded men might like. I want this channel to be family safe, so I'll just put it this way: there are lots of men. Well, let me put it this way: I have seen plenty of media wherein somebody makes a girl robot and is able to have a girl robot be their girlfriend or wife or whatever, and that seems like a concept that a lot of guys are into, and or at least they claim to be into it. And L3 makes an allusion to maybe being a willing participant in something like that, and not with Lando though, of course, which is funny. But anyway, y'all are wrong. You can continue to be wrong. I mean, if you want to have a real substantive knockdown, drag-out fight, or even better yet, a discussion about this, you can go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section, or you know, we can correspond somehow otherwise. So there you go. So I'll go ahead and talk now about my least favorite elements of the movie. Visually, it was too dark. Like, I had a really hard time seeing things. Now, I was driving. The moon was very bright, as it was only a few nights away from a full moon, so the moon may have been causing me an issue, or maybe the projector's not so great at this the drive-in theater we go. I really don't know, but some parts of it were too dark. And I heard a Star Wars podcaster on the Cantina Cast actually saying that it was too dark for them as well. So maybe it was just shot too darkly, or with not enough lighting. I don't know. I don't understand that stylistic choice anyway, because why wouldn't you want people to see the things in your movie or TV show? But, you know, that's me. Or maybe it's a matter of taste, or it's a matter of the director's vision versus what us lowly fans want. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. I thought the movie needed more Enfys Nest. Like, and that's not because I liked her so much. By the way, this review, or this collection of Shadow Font is going to be full of my thoughts, and it'll contain full spoilers on Solo. So I should probably warn that in the description, or on screen at the beginning. Anyway, Enfys Nest was kind of pushed in the marketing. I saw a couple TV spots with her, and looked like she was going to be a big deal. Was in the trailer and maybe even the teaser. I don't know. But Enfys Nest seemed like, yeah, it was going to be a huge part of this movie, and not so much. I almost wonder how I'll receive her role in a subsequent viewing. I don't know. So, anyway, next thing, her reveal, Enfys Nest's reveal, was a little weak for me. Like, it fell a bit flat. Like, she took off her helmet, you saw it was a woman, she stares Beckett in the face, and I was half expecting her to say, like, "It's me, Dad," or him to say something like, "Oh, it's you," and I don't know, just maybe because I'm so used to the, father thing in Star Wars. I don't know. It was just weird, but it really felt like she was supposed to be his kid. Maybe it's because he felt like old Han, and she is in a costume that's reminiscent, I would say, of the Kylo Ren getup. So I don't know about that. Anyway, I didn't like how the Falcon got wrecked in the Maw, in the Kessel Run. It was just kind of cheesy to me that it perfectly got wrecked in one fell swoop, even though I'm sure if I look closely at it, all the wreckage isn't, consistent with how it looks in A New Hope or whatever. But I could see it sustaining like some big damage. But the fact that it was like all the damage the Falcon gets externally is from this was kind of weak to me, but whatever. Now I'll go ahead and move on to my favorite elements of the movie, which there's more of these, so that's good. So Mother Proxima in the beginning on Corellia was really weird. She was like a weird subterranean caterpillar woman monster. It was freaky and strange. Also hard to see, but it made sense because she was in the dark. But it was weird and wild, and I liked it. I want to see Star Wars do more weird, wild stuff like that. I mean, that's super strange. Anyway, and she had like this army of kids, which is interesting. Abandoned children. Anyway. So humble origins for Han and his family and Kira. They're all from Corellia. His dad apparently was a shipbuilder. He built YT 1300s, which is what the Millennium Falcon is. It's a Corellian make ship, or make and model, whatever. And they have like famous shipyards or whatever. Like that was cool. And he was like a street rat, and like Mother Proxima forced these kids, weird, kind of like Unkar plot, to like steal stuff, and they would steal stuff and bring it to her, and then she would give them portions and like of food so they could survive. And Han and Kira found each other, latched onto each other, fell in love or whatever in their time together with her, and planned to escape, and then they did, which was really cool, mostly. But it struck me while I was watching it how similar that is to Unkar Plutt and Rey and the Scavengers on Jakku. It's just weird. Anyway, maybe that'll gel more in the future. But it was cool that he had simple beginnings, just like Luke, other characters in Star Wars, Rey. Maybe that's part of the reason they clicked so well. And then, I'll go ahead and share the Unkar Plutt thing and some of the similarities. Han was written in large part by Lawrence Kasdan. He wrote a lot of Harrison Ford Lucasfilm stuff. He wrote, I think it was Temple of Doom, but I don't know, maybe, no, it was Raiders. He wrote Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he wrote Empire Strikes Back, and I allegedly had a huge influence on Han's character. And he also wrote TFA, The Force Awakens, which Han featured in a very huge way. He was actually writing this movie, the Solo movie, before he was tapped by, I think, Kennedy to co-write TFA with Abrams. So that was interesting. I don't know, like knowing that some things clicked for me, and I was able to kind of make some connections and think a little more deeply about what was going on with the characters and their arcs and Beckett and stuff, and how like old Han is a little bit of Beckett, and I don't know, it's just really interesting. Let me see. So Han lies about the 12 parsecs. It's like a fishtail. His lie about the 12 parsecs, that it took him less and less time as he goes on to, in his telling of how fast they got through the Kessel Run, and it's this big important thing to him. And Rey, says it's 14 parsecs in TFA, and he's like, no, 14. And that's just another cute thing, that me knowing who was writing these and when the development was, it clicked for me like, oh, that was, I bet if the Han movie came out then TFA, like that joke would have hit harder in TFA and it would have been funnier. Okay, let's see. I really like how Han's arc from like an earnest puppy dog to wounded or hardened outlaw works in this movie. He'd been a soldier in the Empire, and he was disillusioned by that. He was only using it as a way to get back to Kira anyway, which is interesting. But I liked the shape of it. It worked well for me. Also, Lando was great. He was super charismatic. He was super cool. I think it's really funny that he scammed Han like again and again and again in the movie. He said his ship was like in a secret place, and it was actually it had been impounded, and he leverages them, Han and his crew, to break the Falcon out of its impound, and that was just really cool. Another thing I loved is that Enfys Nest is a rebel. Like, she is a rebel, and I want to see her show up in a bunch of comic books or maybe a show or whatever now, just because that would be cool. And it's hilarious to me that Han inadvertently literally fuels the rebellion by helping steal all this. I think it's coaxium was the name of it, and that's just really funny, especially because he joins later, and Kira pegs him and says, you're the good guy, and she acknowledges that he fronts that he's a bad dude, a bad hombre, but he isn't, and there's this good core in him, and that was really cool. Also loved all the Chewie stuff in there with him. That was really neat. The new guy, Eunice, I can't remember his last name, as Chewbacca, wonderful performance. I want to see more of that. It's really cool. And then it really tickled me that the hyperfuel was basically just liquid Schwartz. If you haven't seen Spaceballs and you're old enough, or your parents don't mind, you should definitely see it, because there's a thing in there called liquid Schwartz at the end, and it's basically the same thing as the hyperfuel in the Falcon at the end of the movie. I'm going to pause for a moment, and I will pick back up. Okay, so I am picking back up. By the way, I just remembered something I didn't like about the movie, which is that Han Solo is a made-up last name. He had a dad. He had a dad who worked in the shipyard. Apparently they had no given or family name. I don't know if that's a common thing on Corellia or what, because the Imperial recruiter asked him, who are your people? And no one. Solo, which apparently Spanish or Latin or whatever. You know what? The word boudoir was featured in The Last Jedi, and I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with all this real life language being used in Star Wars. But it actually makes me consider some of the things I want to do as an author or a fantasy author using fantasy languages. Like, maybe it's just a bad idea. Alright, I want to go ahead and wrap this up now. My takeaways from Solo, a Star Wars story. Huge chunks aren't important. Personal stakes are. The whole reason for the heist and the reason that Han and Chewie got into it, it was all very personal and very small scale. The lives of just a few people were at stake. Of course, if your life is at stake, that's huge stakes. I mean, by definition, wow, this guy's amazing. Anyway, so there's a guy doing maybe CrossFit or something. He did like a bunch of push-ups and on the sidewalk while he's waiting to run again, maybe. Man, anyway, the guy's ripped. Anyway, sorry, hashtag fitness goals right there. Sorry. I started working out a few months ago, and it hasn't overtaken my life completely, but I think being fit is important. Anyway, the personal stakes. I guess what stake is more personal than your own life being at risk? So, I don't know, take that how you will. But I think it's really neat that it was like a very small scale thing, and it kind of stumbles into something huge, which is the fueling of the rebellion, as I mentioned earlier. But it's kind of, I don't know, unintentional or unassuming or whatever, and kind of like that. So it seems kind of fun. Anyway, let's see. Oh, and then tragic losses and deaths as character fodder need to be handled carefully. There's this whole thing about man pain, where you hurt or kill a woman close to your male protagonist at the beginning of a story or at the end of a story to either motivate him or to define him or make a big impact on his character. And it seems unnecessary. Some people harp against it and say it's kind of the worst thing ever. I'm not really sure where I stand on it, other than it's boring. and it's something I'd like to avoid because I think it's overdone. I think it was handled fairly well in Solo. The whole thing with Kira and Han, I thought was beautiful. And I had read Last Shot, or listened to the audiobook of Last Shot before seeing Solo like a month or two ago. Whenever it came out, pretty much I got it and I listened. And he's kind of pining over a woman, heartbroken over a woman before a certain part of his life or the adventure of Last Shot begins. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was Kira based on the ending of the movie, but I like how they handled that versus how they handled things between Beckett and Val, which, I don't know, again, that was another thing. No, you know what, that one didn't fall flat for me, but it was just kind of too bad that they went there and used that trope, in my opinion. So, I don't know. And then the Ariadne guy, the monkey guy with the multiple arms, the pilot like dying so that Han could become the pilot, like, I don't know, is that really necessary? What if he just survived it but, you know, got knocked out and then Han had to fly, like something that happens later, and then you know, they part ways? I don't know, just it seemed a little pointless to me. Yeah, anyway, I didn't like it necessarily, but the guy was cool. I like Jon Favreau's performance there. And then charm and charisma are powerful forces, and if Kasdan can write someone as suave and smooth as Lando, so can I. I mean, at least I should try. I'd never really considered... I've always been more of a Luke guy, so Han and Lando, some people like them because of their manly macho-ness and the smoothness or whatever, and that never... I mean, I've always loved how smooth Lando is, and it's something I've enjoyed in his stories, and I've partially enjoyed it because it's so different from the, I don't know, like bravado. The smoothness is like way different from the bravado of Han, and I prefer it in a lot of ways, but it's never something I imagine myself writing. It's definitely not something I would say that I characterize or live out or embody or whatever. And Lawrence Kasdan, or Larry as they call him, I don't think he's smooth or suave. Just from the little bit I've heard of him, I think his voice is in the wrong register. It's kind of nasally, a little high. So definitely, you know, not the smooth, low-down Lando voice. So it's just interesting to me that guy wrote Lando, and he, you know, ostensibly wrote him so well in Empire. So I don't know, maybe I should expand myself and write somebody who somebody could say, man, I can't believe Matthew Munoz wrote a guy like that. Like, it's unbelievable. Or a girl like that, whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say. I sure enjoyed Solo. Unbelievably, I would go see a sequel to it, particularly if it was about Lando. I mean, that'd be cool. And if, you know, Han and Chewie got rolled into it as well, or, you know, Lando and all new characters would be fun too. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. You can also subscribe. You can share this with folks, and the good thing, if you're subscribed, you can get a notification every time one of these comes out by ringing that notification bell. Anyway, again, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it, and be well until next time, folks.